Today we're going to show you how to remove your old-fashioned incandescent kitchen lighting, those old ugly big old cans that are energy inefficient and they're probably a fire starter as well. And we're going to replace them with those nice modern, much safer and much more energy efficient LED surface downlights. And this will transform your kitchen lighting into a much better setup. And then here is your standard kitchen can light installed on the ceiling. And there, of course, is your very ugly, hideous black baffle. I never liked those things. They just really make it look horrible. And then you have the plastic bezel as well. And you can see it's yellowed over the years. So we're going to remove this, and they usually come out pretty easy. You just pull down on it, and there's usually a couple of springs. In this case, the springs are so old, they just broke. And then, of course, the third one, I can unhook it, but you just basically unhook it from inside the can. They usually attach into one of the slotted holes there. And if you can't get it to come out, you can also use scissors and just cut the thing out, because the whole can is coming out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And so here you can see why these are so energy inefficient here, these lights. You see all of these holes there? There's slots everywhere. There's a hole there, another hole there, another hole there. Everywhere you look here, this thing is just loaded with holes, and each one of these holes is just spewing out air conditioning into your attic in the summer, or of course heating into your attic during the winter. So here's one of the other cans you can see that I removed, and you can just see all of the daylight coming in here. I brought it outside to show you here. And so you can see why they often call these fire starters, because also if you had a fire inside this can, and if any of the heat or gases from it got up into the attic, like just the insulation or anything over the can in the attic that's flammable, could set the whole house on fire. So from the time they were using these back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I've never really liked these types of can lights. They should all be designed to be sealed and with no holes and ready for intimate contact with the insulation that is up in the attic above it. Here's another reason why these are called fire starters. Look on the left of your screen in the upper left. You can see the two cans there. This is in an attic on a condo that I remodeled. And so you can see the cans are poking up above through the insulation, and you can actually see the light coming from the kitchen below it. You see that? And so this is actually illegal. This is a violation of building codes, because the code requires that when they have these types of can lights, they are required to put a metal cage over those can lights so that the insulation cannot come in contact with those cans at all. Because you can see, if you can see that light there, that means you can definitely see heat coming through there as well. And if you had the insulation touching those cans, it could easily catch fire. Here I made a screen grab here to show you the cans just poking up through the kitchen ceiling into the insulation area of the attic. And so I bet that probably 99% of you have this in your house. And the problem with this is I haven't yet in my life seen a house that had it implemented correctly. It's like the building inspectors just ignore this. This is all the more reason why you should be removing all of your recessed can lights. As always, anytime you're working on lighting like this, make sure you always turn off power to that circuit in your electrical panel first and test it to make sure there's no voltage in those lines. And probably what most of you would have done up until now is you would screw in this adapter into the socket, right, instead of changing the can, and just put in a retro LED light, a retrofit. The problem with these is, see, there's no gasket around the lip there, so it doesn't seal very good up against the ceiling, and you can still lose a lot of air conditioning or heat to the attic. And these are still big and bulky, so what I have is a much better solution. But if you had these types of lights, all you had to do is just unscrew them out of the socket, and then they lower right out here. See, it comes out just like that. So here I am just going to reach up into the can and unscrew the old retrofit LED light so that we can start to disassemble and remove the can out of the ceiling. Now there's 3 screws securing this can light to the wood frame around it up in the attic. And so of course these clowns would have to use a hex screw, and it was like a 3/16 head. I mean, come on. I had to go fish out my tiny little ratchet to get these out. So hopefully you'll have better luck and you'll have Phillips head screws in yours. So there's typically 3 of them. Here's the other one there, see? And on top of that, they made it a slotted head. But anyway, it didn't matter because I have a socket is what I use on these hex heads. Once you have all of the fastening screws undone, the can just slides right out of the ceiling there. And you're probably going to have some sort of Romex or a metal conduit. Now, there is usually a wiring can up in the attic right next to it, so we're pulling the lid off it here so we can get a look at the wiring, because we have to undo that wiring there, as you can see, in order to get the rest of the light fixture out of there. See, this is why I love especially using this particular model, because it always conveniently fits right up in there, and you just stick it up in there, and it provides you with enough light up in there to get done everything you need to do, because we're going to be operating in that metal box right there where the wiring is coming in. So as we assess the wiring can to see what we have to do, you can see we basically just have to unscrew those 3 wiring nuts there. And once we get those wires undone, you'll see that the cable there on the left there, that conduit, will be able to pull out. But I just want to make sure that nothing's energized here. So I've got my non-contact tester, and you always want to test it first on an electrical outlet or something that's known to be energized to make sure that your tester is working. I'm always checking, always double checking. And of course, in the case of this kitchen, the builder did not have the required cage protecting the can lights. So anyway, now we're unscrewing the wire caps here to undo the wiring. So at least they had the wiring going into a box there. So we're removing the wiring from the light that was hanging. Now, because the new lights that we are installing come with their own tiny little can, we're going to remove the line Romex out of the can that was up there, because we're going to need these 3 wires to stick them into the can that came with the lights. And then when you're doing your wiring, folks, please promise me that you won't be this guy. You see, this is such a horrible mess, and this is done so incorrectly. Don't be that guy that leaves that shredded paper left over from the inside of the shroud of the Romex cable there. So you see that? Just cut all of that paper back to the point right there where the insulation shroud of the Romex cable ends. And same thing, sometimes with the Romex shroud alone, some people also leave shards of it hanging down. It should all be cut off nice and clean with just 3 wires coming out. No paper, no nothing. So here is the little can that comes with the light, and it has a lid just like the one that was up in the attic. And you can see it already has in here pre-populated your 3 wires, the black, the white, and the ground wire. And these already come with those push-in connectors on them. Now, I don't like those as much as the Wagos, but anyway, right here, as you push down the little tab, that's where your Romex wire is going to go through to enter into the box. And you want to push it in with the skin about 1/4 of an inch in past that clamp. And then you start connecting up the wires. So now I have the can hanging off the ceiling. There's the Romex, see, sitting right there in the clamp. And the skin is poking in at least 1/4 of an inch into the can. And then you have your 3 wires there. And then there's your temperature switch. So 3500 Kelvin seems to be everybody's favorite color from what we've all looked at. So that's what we're setting it at. So I always like to buy the lights that have the color selection on there, so we can set the exact color of the lighting that we want. Then it's just a simple process of matching up the color wire. So you attach the white wire to the connector that has the other white wire. The black wire, which is your line voltage, goes to the other one. There's the black and the white. And then we attach the ground one. Now you're really safer attaching the ground wire first before the other 2, but this is not energized anyway, so it didn't really matter in this case. Of course, the challenge comes in trying to tuck in the wires into that half space of that little can and then get the lid to close back down. So now that I have inserted the new surface mount downlights can up there into the attic, I'm going to fish out the little hanging cable and connect the light to its cable. So you plug it in, see there's the can. So you just twist the cap on there, that tightens the 2 pieces of the cable together. So now you're ready to attach the light to the ceiling, and it's just so easy. You flip up the one spring and you stick it up there. So it's going to clip over the drywall. So there's the first one up. You flip up the second clip. I'm trying to make sure there's nothing clearance out there. Oh, and I almost forgot my Ryobi light. Can't leave that puppy up there. And I love that little area light. I've been using that all over the place. I use it in my sink installations. So there we go. We're going to put that second clip up in there. Make sure everything fits up in there nice and easy. And there you go. So it really does a great job sucking that light right up to the ceiling. It just clamps down on it from above on the drywall. Now, when installing these cans into your attic space, it's always best to screw them to a wood frame member like you see here. Your city may require it by code. Some cities probably don't care. The manufacturer says you can just set the can right down on top of the drywall ceiling. Now, these particular lights also allow intimate contact directly with the insulation up in the attic. So make sure whatever light you choose is IC rated, and you will see it there in all of the specs. It will say IC rated, and that stands for intimate contact with insulation. Then you just lather, rinse, and repeat for the rest of the lights on the ceiling. But your job isn't done yet, because we have to replace your switch with an LED specific dimmer. And so this is my current favorite one, and I'll put a link to it down in the video description below for you, as well as in the View Products link, so you can check it out for yourself. But I've been using this and installing it in a number of locations for several friends, and everybody seems to love this one. That is why this LED dimmer is in my kitchen as well. And remember, the modern day LED lights that we're installing like these today are not compatible with the older incandescent dimmers that you might have on your wall that your builder installed. This is why we have to install LED compatible dimmers. And then, of course, this was one of the fixtures I removed. It was a retrofit LED light. And, of course, I've showed before the reason why I don't like it is there's no gasket around the lip of it here on this flange. And so you're losing air conditioning up into the attic with these types of lights. And then plus, look at the huge size of this thing, too. Then look at the front side of this LED kitchen light here. You can see there's the size of your light bulb, so to speak there, the light emitting surface. But then look at the size of the bezel. It's huge. And then it's sunken in, too. And it looks really deep, so it's almost giving you that big baffle. I like the much more modern lights like these, you see, that are sleek and just surface mount. There's no depth or anything. I love these a lot better. And you can see on here too that the LED light is the full 6 inches across there. So you're getting more light efficiency. And here's another example of these same lights that I installed at my friends Wayne and Jen's house here. And you can see how horrible it was before on the left, what the builder left them with and when I came in. So I made a video on this particular installation also. It's much more detailed for you, and I'll put a link to it down in the video description below, as well as in the thumbnails at the end of this video, because you'll want to see that one because it tells you a lot more information, more details on how to cut the holes, where to put the holes, and all of the other complexities of installing lights where there were none before. Unlike today's video, which is showing you the holes were already cut for you and there was already cans there. But in this other video at my friends Wayne and Jen's house, it's starting from scratch where there's no cuts in the drywall at all. So here we're going to replace that switch that's on the left with the new LED dimmer. And so you just undo the outlet plate screws that are holding it there. Then, of course, you cut power to the circuit first before you start doing all of this. So you're going to unscrew the top screw and the bottom screw from the switch there so that you can pull it out of the outlet box. So once you pull the switch out here, I want to make sure that there's still no power going there before I start unscrewing the wires. So I'm going to put my non-contact tester on there after I've tested it on another outlet first to make sure it's working. So here we are verifying that there's no power anywhere on these wires. Now, this was a poorly wired switch, and remember, this was done by the builders, too, at this house. I don't like backstabbing these switches, which is the way these were wired, because it's the most unreliable connection known to mankind. So I'm just cutting the wires here, and we'll have to restrip the insulation off of those wires for connecting it on to the new LED dimmer. So next I come in with the wire strippers, and I will strip off the insulation off of all 3 of these wires that are coming through here. That red wire is called a traveler because this is a 3-way switch, and so there's another matching LED switch that I have to put in. So this unit that I'm using here, the dimmer, has a partner switch, so to speak, that allows the two to be used in three-way mode. So now we are connecting up all of the wiring to the LED dimmer switch, and I'm using my Wago connectors, which are often better to use than the wiring nuts, and they take up less space sometimes for you when you're really cramped for space. So again, I'll put links to all of these parts and switches and everything down in the video description below. But it's a lot easier to deal with sometimes. As you can see right there, it just makes things very simple. And you make sure you install it with the arrow up on the switch. Sometimes there's a tiny little arrow there that tells you. And then oftentimes when you're dealing with outlet boxes like this with multiple switches, you have to be real careful about pushing those wires back in there and getting everything to fit in that tiny little cavity behind that one switch. And remember, these dimmers, sometimes these modern dimmers are a little deep too. So you have to be able to get it to all fit back in there without it compressing too much and putting too much force against the back end of that switch. See, you'll note the arrow there that says up on the top of the switch. That way you know you have it oriented correctly. Then you just reverse all of the steps from taking out the original switch. So what we're going to do here is screw in the dimmer, the two screws, one goes top, one goes bottom, and then after that we put the 6 screws back onto the outlet plate, and we are ready for testing. Now this is what makes this particular LED dimmer so incredible that everybody likes. So see, you can turn it on there, and it comes on to a preset dimmable amount that I had already programmed into it. You can get the instructions off the website for doing that. And so I can adjust it just by dragging my finger up and down the light bar there, and that's what's really incredible. And then see how you can make it go all the way up, or you can make it come all the way down. And then let's turn it off right there. So now that it's off, if I turn it back on again, just like that, it comes back to that same programmed dimmable value that I had already programmed into that dimmer. Okay, so you turn the lights back on again, and it comes on to that same programmed dimmable value. Turn it off, turn it back on again, and you'll see. See, every time it'll come back to that same programmed value. Here's the real benefit of this thing. So here's the other end, the accessory part of the three-way switch. There's no more trying to decide, is it up or is it down, which switch should be which way. You just turn it off that way by hitting it on the bottom, or you turn it on by hitting it at the top. Now the cool thing about this is when you turn it on, it comes onto that same programmable dimmed level that I showed you on the other switch. How does that possibly happen? Because the two of these switches are talking together through that third red wire that I showed you, that traveler wire that's common to all three-way switches. This eliminates the confusion of three-way switches, whether it's on or off or whatever. And then as you walk around the kitchen and look, you can see how beautiful the lighting is. It's nice and sleek and modern and flush with the ceiling, and you have the maximum size possible on your lighting element there on the light. And then look how even the lighting is on the counters and even on the floors. And make sure you check out this video that I did at my friend Wayne and Jen's house, like I mentioned earlier. So you can click on the thumbnail here on the upper left to go see it. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see all of you on the next one.